Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Friday, October 4th, and I'm pumped, Payton and Kenny, because I feel like the season starts, I guess not today, but tomorrow when you're listening to this, on Saturday, because Mizzou's got a ranked matchup. They had a ranked matchup against Boston College, but this one feels a little bit more real. We've been turning up for this game all offseason. We knew this would be a big one. We've talked about some of the stakes. Mizzou, first game on the road, going to Texas A&M. The Tigers traveling on down there to Aggie land. 11 a.m. kick on the old ABC, which is pretty fun. Number 25 A&M against number 9 Mizzou. A&M on ESPN Bet at the time of recording this is 2.5-point favorites at home. Opening thoughts, fella. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff, but just I'm very excited for this game. I'm excited to see what Mizzou's got coming off the bye week. We haven't seen the Tigers, I think, that we've wanted to see, at least for a full game yet. And obviously it's got to be there against Texas A&M team here on Saturday.
I mean, you can't really overstate the importance of this. I think this is probably your second hardest game on the schedule. I'll say it. I think Mizzou can essentially punch their ticket to the playoff with a win on Saturday. Because if you win that game, you'll be heavily favored to beat everyone else on your schedule. It's not Alabama. And yes, you have to go out and actually beat them. You know, you don't want to roll into South Carolina with like kind of a nonchalant, we'll handle South Carolina, Oklahoma, no biggie, Auburn, no biggie. You got to go out and play the games. But I look at that schedule. I think there is no question that this is the second hardest game on Mizzou's schedule. And it's the first road game of the year for Mizzou. I believe Drinkwitz. There's some stat I saw in 11 a.m. road games. Drinkwitz at Mizzou is 0-7. 11 a.m. road games. It was a big thing early on in his tenure. But it comes at a good time for Mizzou because we've seen probably as bad as Mizzou could play and still win a game against Vanderbilt. Drinkwitz went into the bye week. He said it like, we got a lot of things to figure out, and that's a coach's dream to get to this point. 4-0, top 10 in the nation, and still knowing you haven't played your best ball. Will Missouri go out and do it? This is a good game to really see, like, if they can get the pass offense calibrated. A&M's secondary has had a lot of issues this year, but it is no easy feat. If they go into Kyle Field and get this one, they will have earned it, no doubt.
It's a nice early test too. When you talk about SEC environments, coming off the bye week, first road game, and it's at Kyle Field. You say what you want. It's still a good road environment. It's a loud stadium. I've heard the press box shakes just because of how loud, and the Aggies fans like to stomp a lot. So there's a lot of cheers that they do in that regard. And I know that some of the quotes from Brady Cook in his press conference this week were maybe taken a little, it was almost
too
like
literal.
Yeah, too literal in what he was saying, that, at these practices for players, they're gonna try to get game-like conditions. They're gonna make it loud. It's something that a lot of teams have been doing for a long time. You want to get comfortable in those kind of environments, get comfortable when you're uncomfortable. So it's just kind of taken, maybe Brady Cook shouldn't have said it, but it was kind of taken the wrong way in one sense. Everyone knows and kind of respects about, where Kyle Field kind of ranks above some of the loudest stadiums. I even think like the video game NCAA 25 ranked it as the loudest stadium to begin the season. I think those have changed since, but it's still, I mean, it's just a good environment to start off. Even at an 11 a.m. kick, this is what you want early on. You want to be battle tested in those environments as you get into the heart of SEC play.
Yeah, I'm glad we brought that up. I felt like that was a good place to start because they were obviously all asked about the road environment. They haven't played a road game yet this season. Payton, I'm glad you brought the drink road record up. I still am very skeptical every time Mizzou goes on the road. It just sometimes feels like a different team will show up and not in a good way. We've obviously seen that change over the last couple of years, so they're getting their feet under them a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be big. I mean, they talked about Drink kind of brought up, or I think it was Brady Cook actually I was watching, kind of brought up everything. I mean, he mentioned the crowd noise. I agree with you too, Kenny, that I think that quote was taken a little bit too. That didn't feel like a shot at A&M. Like, I don't know. He talked about they're sitting there taking snaps with giant speakers blaring whatever crowd noise music right behind them. Like, yeah, it's gonna feel probably a lot louder when it's right in front of you. So yeah, I think Brady Cook completely understands what environment he's walking into. He's a veteran quarterback. He's been here before. I'm not worried about any of that. But he talked about everything. He was like, it's going to be hot down there. Like 92 degrees or whatever on game day. At 11 a.m. sun's peak sky. Yeah, I'm not feeling too jealous of maybe not being in the stadium in the seats for that one, because yeah, it might be kind of a scorcher. But anyway, that aside, yeah, I think it's gonna be really, really fun to see this Mizzou team kind of get tested. Obviously, it will get not fun very fast if they appear to be failing the test. And I think, just kind of diving into that, it's kind of nice. We haven't really had a chance to, scout or talk about an opponent that much, just because I feel like with the teams Mizzou has played, it's more been about what we're expecting from Mizzou. But Texas A&M obviously has a lot of weapons, is a good team. And the biggest question coming in, Payton, of course, is this quarterback situation for the Aggies. When you look at, obviously, Connor Weigman, had the starting job, it seemed like, got injured. And now Marcel Reed, this freshman, has come in and played really well. Drinkwitz, in fact, was pretty dismissive when he was asked about it. He said they clearly have a different offensive identity with this guy at quarterback. What are your kind of thoughts there? Because if it is Marcel Reed, which is looking like it's going to be on Saturday, all of a sudden you have another quarterback kind of similar to a Diego Pavia, Thomas Castellanos, who Mizzou has seen already this season.
Yeah, I mean, I remember last week, I remember they said, like, Mike Elko, the A&M head coach, said, like, we're kind of hoping Wegman's ready for this weekend. It wasn't. He didn't wind up playing against Arkansas. It was Reed for that game. And people kind of just assumed Wegman, if healthy, was going to be the starter. I think they even listed him as the starter, but Drinkwitz is not buying it. I mean, he walked into his press conference and said, nope, that's semantics. We're preparing for Marcel Reed. And in some regards, like, he has to do that. Marcel Reed is much more of a threat with his legs. I don't think Wegman is a factor on the ground, in the ground game at all. So it's easier to prepare for like a Wegman type quarterback than it is for Reed. But I mean, you look at Marcel Reed, he is also 3-0. QB wins are a very misleading stat, but you kind of have to ride the hot hand. I will say of Reed, though, very, very, like, not refined as a passer. Like, I don't think he can hurt you through the air like a Castellanos or maybe even a Pavia can. Has completed just 54.4% of his passes this year. Hasn't thrown a pick. He's thrown 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. But I feel like the game plan, for as annoying as it is going to be pretty similar for the defense as it was, especially against Boston College. They're going to try and keep Reed in the pocket. I think they're going to try and make him beat them through the air. And for a guy that's only completing 54% of his passes against, I mean, let's be honest, Florida is an SEC team. Arkansas is an SEC team. They're not top half of the conference. And Bowling Green is the other team they've played in that time. I think is a good strategy for them. But again, Marcel Reed, game breaker with his legs. Very dangerous if they don't keep him contained. Going to be another key game for the edge rushers, I think. Johnny Walker, Eddie Kelly, and that whole unit. They're going to have to do a good job of keeping Reed in the pocket.
It's always like a thing that you see this in college football where, is this guy going to start? Is he not? You just wait to see during warmups. Is he in street clothes? Is he not putting on pads? And everyone's just going to play their cards the way they want to. They're going to say, they might even know right now that Connor Wingman's not going to be ready for this game. He's still going to be out. You're still going to keep evaluating. You're not really going to tell the team everything. And these are two different types of quarterbacks. So you're kind of planning for, a different type of guy you're going to see in the backfield. Is someone who's going to beat us only through the air? Is he going to beat us on the ground as well? So it's kind of just how A&M's kind of playing it out, and it's a smart thing. You just keep evaluating your options. But at the same time, it kind of puts other teams in a bind, which, I mean, that's what you want to do when you have two quarterbacks that are starter or SEC caliber starters. That's just something you can do. One thing I just wanted to note on this is Marcel Reed's sister works in the football department for Mizzou, and Eli Drinkwitz kind of made a joke about how she's not allowed to be at practice, kind of see what's going on. I think Outkick.
Aggie Land again took that too literal.
Too literal. I think Outkick was the one that really ran with it. I even read the article and they misspelled Drinkwitz in it. So it kind of just tells you where Outkick is if you still read that stuff. But he posted a photo. They posted a photo on the Mizzou football account with Marcel Reed's sister. So overall, just pretty fun stuff. I mean, Drinkwitz is always going to have fun with it.
Yeah, that's a very classic trolling Drinkwitz. I love to, like, just on the topic of injuries, like I feel like college football, it's the only thing where you can spin adding an official injury report into almost creating more drama around if someone is actually going to play. Because this is obviously the first year where we have this SEC injury report, and you look at Texas A&M. I mean, Weigman's listed as questionable, which, you know, you'd feel like it's just funny to me that, like, that should provide more clarity on injuries, and yet somehow it kind of feels like, to me, it's making things way more murky. Because you have the one that comes out on Wednesday, then they drop one, I think, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday before the game. And a bunch of stuff can change up until that. So you still can do this kind of, like Kenny said, the games where you're hiding who's going to play, if they're going to play. But to me, I think Drinkwitz is handling it really well. I think assuming Marcel Reed is going to be the guy is that feels like the smart thing to me. I think it's Texas A&M has found something there. It seems like that's the guy who they're kind of going to ride with, which, you know, kind of a tough look for Connor Weigman, but hey, we're not on Texas A&M coverage. So we're worried about Mizzou and how they're going to go against it, which Payton kind of got into it. I mean, just from a game plan perspective for both of you, I guess, Kenny, I'll start with you in general. I mean, when it comes to stopping this Texas A&M team, you know, Payton got into it with Reed and what he can do on the ground. This team obviously has a very good running back in Le'Veon Moss as well. What are you looking for defensively from Mizzou to come out and do against, you know, a team that still has a lot of weapons? They're pretty good up front as well in A&M.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Similar to Brady Cook going and asking Riley Leonard for some advice after that Notre Dame Texas A&M game, I'm going to go ask for some advice from a Notre Dame beat reporter and our friend Jack Sobel, also a Missouri alum, who's with On 3 on the Blue and Gold, and he gave me a couple things to quote from him here. But stopping A&M's offense, Notre Dame played a shit ton. I'm quoting him, of single high man coverage, and A&M's wide receivers couldn't get open, then collapse the pocket and make Weigman as uncomfortable as possible if he plays. So that's something to kind of think about if Weigman is the starter. Notre Dame also probably has a top 2 cornerback duo and one of the best man single high safeties in the country. So this won't work for everyone, but that's what they did. If you don't know Jack Sobel, he's been on the show before. He's very technical. He knows a lot of the ins and outs, especially for defenses. And then quick thing on scoring against A&M's defense. They're tough to block up front, so staying out of 3rd and long is the biggest thing. Notre Dame stuck with the run game even when it wasn't working for a bit, and broke off a few big ones in the second half, which were the difference maker. Their cornerbacks are good, but no one can stick with Luther. So just hammer him and Noel, and eventually they'll break one. Something that kind of stood out to me there, we're, still kind of waiting on the health of Marquise Johnson. Questionable for this game. But if he is available, I mean, that's someone who could probably break out a big play if that's what Sobel's kind of hinting at when you need those explosive plays.
That's interesting. He brings up playing single high, and obviously that game plans would change depending on QB, because Weigman's not going to take off and run. That's just not in his game at all. So you game plan differently from it. But Mizzou has not been a team that has left their corners on an island a whole ton this year. They like to drop more back. They give you, I remember, like, there was that interesting, like, 3-1-7 look or whatever it was a couple games ago. Like, Batoon mixes it up, but a lot of times he's dropping a few more guys back. So I do wonder if we see maybe a little more pressure being brought, or maybe a little more man-to-man, especially if A&M, I mean, that was a big thing for A&M coming into the year. A lot of concerns about the receiver position because Evan Stewart is gone. They don't really have a bona fide dude in that receiver core, which is a benefit for Mizzou because the corner play has been fine, but there's these lapses where, Toriano Pride has just had his eyes in the backfield too long, and that can lead him to getting burned. But I do also think just going back to Le'Veon Moss is a big dude. He's built like he's a bigger version of Marcus Carroll, and Marcus Carroll is Mizzou's power back right now. So that kind of gives you a big idea of what they're up against when Moss is coming down the track. I think missed tackles is going to be key in this game. Mizzou early on against Vanderbilt missed a few arm tackles that were slipped. They cleaned that up, and Vandy was slowed down for the most part. That's going to be an even bigger challenge against a back like Moss, who's just so big and can shed a lot of tackles like that. Big game for Mizzou's linebackers. They gotta just be sound fundamentally tackling wise.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's going to be a big linebacker game especially if Reed is the one to go. I think Payton, you talked about like kind of setting the edge. A guy that's been burned in my brain a little bit is Khalil Jacobs. I kind of have a feeling about him coming into this game. I feel like he might be someone who could maybe make a difference. He's been, to me, a little bit of a surprise. Just like I was looking at his stats in the offseason, I was a little bit unsure of some stuff I was seeing on PFF and like his tendencies and stuff like that, but he's been great. I think you're right. I think getting the pressure, them dialing that up, kind of seems like something they'll start to do a little bit more. I'm glad you brought up the receivers because I was looking into that myself. I mean, yeah, they don't have much. Their leading receiver is Cyrus Allen, 203 yards, 1 touchdown. So yeah, not too much going on in that department, which could hopefully help Mizzou. But again, if your corners you're making the mistakes that they were in Vandy, it doesn't matter who the receiver is. They're going to be wide open catching the ball. So you can't make those kinds of mistakes. I'm curious when Sobel brought up Luther Burden, because I don't know how, because he's still Luther Burden and he still has his moments. Does this need to be, like Sobel said, it needs to be kind of a leaning on Nate Noel, Luther Burden? If you let them go, Texas A&M will eventually break. This feels really obvious to ask, but does this need to be just a huge game from Luther Burden? I mean, is this got to be 100, 110 yards plus, lots of targets? I know Mizzou's obviously got a good receiving core, even if Marquise Johnson can't go. But I mean, I guess I'm trying to ask like how involved he should be. But yeah, does this need to be? Does this game do or die with Luther Burden, and his involvement?
No, not with Luther Burden. Maybe with Brady Cook and the passing offense in general. I mean, because A&M, they've got issues in that secondary. I mean, you look, if you go just based off of PFF's like cornerback grades and everything, you have in A&M secondary, you have a cornerback in Javon Thomas who is ranked 699th in the nation out of 800 graded cornerbacks. You have their top graded secondary player is Will Lee, who has a 73.1, which is solid, but 146th in the nation. That's their best secondary player. So
he's a Kansas State transfer as well. So he's seen this defense, or he's seen this offense.
Oh yeah, was he the one that I think blew? No, he wasn't the one that blew the coverage on Luther that led to the deep ball. But hey, maybe that was the game. It was really a breakout for the passing offense last year. Maybe it'll be it again. So it's an important day for the passing offense, but quite frankly, I really think this game comes down to it's going to sound very rah-rah of me, but the trenches. I really think that A&M, far and away their best position group on the team is their D-line. I mean, they have some straight up nasty dudes down there. You have, of course, Nick Scourton, the likely first round pick, is the guy that's going to get most of the attention. He has 3 sacks already this year. He was a guy, if people don't remember, Mizzou wanted him when he entered the portal. He was very heavily rumored to be like someone that Mizzou was hoping to get on campus, but he got to A&M. A&M likely cut him a very nice check. Not that Mizzou wouldn't have either. I'm not shaming A&M for that. Please don't take it as that, A&M fans. I think if you have the NIL funds to do it, sign that check, baby.
He's also from Bryan, which is right outside College Station.
Yeah, so that also probably helps. But I mean, that D line, just Shamar Stewart has a sack and a half. He's a big part of their defense. Cassius Howell, I mean, Shamar Turner. They have 2 guys named Shamar. How about that? But no, the D line for A&M has rightfully been soundly praised this year. It is a nasty, nasty unit. I mean, you look at the A&M's defense, which is the kind of the calling card for them under Mike Elko. Their top 4 graded players on defense are edge rushers and D linemen. So that's going to be huge. Mizzou has largely been good on the offensive line with a few notable lapses. They're going to have to be at their best. I think that is going to be what determines how this game goes for Mizzou. If Mizzou's O-line can punch holes open for Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll, then they'll be great. If they can keep Brady Cook upright, which they have done well, I believe by PFF, Brady Cook is like the fifth least pressured QB in the SEC this year. Then Mizzou, I think, will be A-okay in this one.
Yeah, I don't want people to, if you're watching on the YouTube and you can see these numbers, I don't want you to look too much into some of these guys because a couple of them at the top only have 7 snaps, 10, 11. But those 2 top guys are, Nick Scourton and Shamar Stewart, who 81.1 defensive grade for Shamar Stewart and 78.5 for Nick Scourton. And I don't know if you guys knew this before, but did you know Nick Scourton, that hasn't always been his name? I found this out today.
Yes, I found this out because of your article.
Wait, I don't know this.
So
Nick Carraway?
Yep, Nick Carraway was his name, and he changed it to honor his father. But there's a story in The Athletic about it. But when I was looking him up because I was trying to find him, I was like, he was a top recruit. Why doesn't he have a Rivals page? And then I found it a little bit later on because it's linked to his college page, which is now Nick Scourton.
Mm-hmm. That's a good. That is a good note. I didn't know that. Also, I don't know. No disrespect to Carraway, but Nick Scourton feels a lot more like that's a D lineman name, like a Scour.
He lives up to it.
That's a tough name.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, I was reading a mock draft from The Athletic, and I think they had him going like 15. So yeah, that's going to be a name, I guess Payton. Then who's been not? I guess I am asking you to single somebody out, but then who along the offensive line do you want to see maybe improve the most? Because I know we've seen Connor Tollison. I think he's the leading center in PFF for like pass pro grade through the first couple of games of the season. Everyone's been pretty good. Might not even be a case of someone's been distinctly bad, but where might be someone you want to see on the O-line, have a big game. Or even just evaluate the unit in general. I mean,
the O-line, it's just been a little turbulent. I think that's just something you can expect with like 2 new starters coming in, especially when the guys you're replacing, Javon Foster and Xavier Delgado, were such long time starters. There's going to be a bit of turbulence when 2 new guys get plugged in there. I would like to see that left side kind of have a big game. Marcus Bryant and Caden Green have not been bad, I don't think. But they just need to be a little more consistent run game wise, I'd say. Marcus Bryant in particular. Cameron Johnson has been. I remember last year he got benched for Marcellus Johnson because of penalty issues last year. And when he got reinserted after Marcellus Johnson was injured, he played really well. He's kind of had those injuries, penalties resurface this year. So I'd like to see him have a clean game and just not get bowled backwards on a play randomly that then ends with him yelling at Mitch Walters. I don't know what happened with that play still. But overall, I think the O-line is capable of doing well against this vaunted D line. And I think that we're going to see like Kirby Moore have some play calls that kind of help it, some stretch plays that go away from Nick Scourton, some, bootlegs that kind of just move the pocket a bit, change the launch angle to keep Brady Cook upright. I think you're going to see some of that in this one. If I had to pick one O-lineman that I'd say I'd want to see a good game from, I'd say Marcus Bryant, because he's going to have Scourton on him on occasion, I'm sure. And it's just going to be big for him to kind of clear the way on some of those stretch plays that Mizzou likes to get into.
Kenny, you have any just takes on either the O-line or just what you want to see from Mizzou's offense? I have a red zone thing that I want to talk about, but if you have any, you're looking at the PFF too. I know you're the PFF guy. If you've got any shout outs.
Yeah, kind of going back to, wanting maybe a big game out of Luther. I think you've seen it too that a lot of these wide receivers can step up, and we've given our props to Mookie, Cooper, and Theo Weiss, just depending on the game. And Theo had a huge game early on in the season. So I think it's just one of those things where, if he is, doubled up and there's just not many opportunities to get him the ball early on. I think you still see it where they unleash Luther at some point and kind of breaks off like a 30-yard catch and run. But there are guys within that, wide receiver room. It's very deep. We've talked about that at length, but there are a lot of options there for a guy to step up if the run game's not going or someone in the passing game is just not getting open. So I think that's something good to think about. But of course, special teams is going to be something that you want to see some positives this week, especially from Blake Craig after winning, SEC Special Teamer of the Week, and then having that performance against Vanderbilt. This had to be a huge week for him in practice in the bye, and then coming into this week in preparation for Texas A&M. Just kind of get back to the consistency, get back to where he was in week 3, and I think the Tigers will be in better shape.
Yeah, I think that's a good summation. I think for me, the thing I'm looking for to, I guess, kind of flip to the other side of the ball is, I think it's, with Marcel Reed in at quarterback, it feels like they almost have a similar sort of lightning and thunder punch with, similar to Mizzou with Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll, but you just do it with Reed and Le'Veon Moss. And I just, those different kind of looks at running back, it's going to be whether Mizzou can maybe bottle one of them up and make them kind of one dimensional, or is it, does Moss kind of power through them and they, tires him out, and then Marcel Reed can just burn him with the kind of big playability he has. To me, like the run game and like just kind of to piggyback off of Payton's point, like, the trenches and who kind of establishes the run, clears those holes, better, I think will probably end up winning this game. Cause I think Mizzou's passing game seems like it's very capable of beating the secondary. Texas A&M, they're maybe not great wide receivers, cancels out Mizzou's maybe not great corners. That's probably the most basic way I can put it. But I think it's going to be a dogfight in the trenches. I'm really intrigued to see how Mizzou kind of responds to sort of that duo that A&M has, just because I don't think they've faced, I think that to me is the difference with Castellanos and Pavia, is like neither of them had a running back that could also really, really hurt you. And I think that's what Texas A&M has. Maybe that's, that'll be something to watch. I have a red zone thing for you guys. And this is something we talked about. I know we visited this issue, but I just was looking into it because Brady Cook, I heard a comment from him where he was asked and basically talked about how they have not been good enough in the red zone, which we've seen that. Mizzou this year in the red zone, 19 for 20. Actually, they were, they're converting a good rate. However, they are tied for 34th in the country in red zone touchdowns with 13, and 8th in the country for field goal attempts in the red zone with 6. I think that gets to the heart of the issue right there. To me, that's another area. Like if Mizzou fails to convert its red zone trips, this could get bad for me.
Yeah, it's certainly, and it was an issue for part of last year as well. Just coming away with 6 there instead of 3, I think is big. A lot of that is, again, the passing offense has just been not in sync enough, I'd say. I think Brady Cook just needs to see the field well, especially when it's condensed. One thing, and this will be a key just for the game in general, not just in the red zone. I think one thing Brady Cook has done to not have people go totally off the tracks at him yet this season is he hasn't turned the ball over really at all. He's thrown 1 interception, and it was in a game where it really did not matter. So Brady Cook has got to stay clean in a hostile road environment like this as well. And when they're down in the red zone, man, he's got to make good decisions with the ball. He can't be throwing to a absolutely blanketed Mekhi Miller in the back of the end zone. He can't be throwing to a double covered Theo Weiss that has no shot of coming down with the ball. He's got to make the right read. And part of that is on, the receivers, the play calling, all of it. Guys got to get open. The reads have to be there. But I do think that a large part of that just comes down to Brady Cook seeing the field well and Mizzou being able to keep its run game going down there.
No doubt. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch for me from the red zone. You have to convert those trips. And we'll see how Mizzou does. All right. Should we roll into predictions? I saw Kenny building the thing for us. A reminder, Vandy, congratulations to Payton. You won that. You picked 34-10. It was 30-27. So you had the most
And
conservative.
I got the tiebreaker is what did
Oh
it.
yeah, you did. Yep, yep. With the penalties. So we'll do A&M. Who wants to go first? Score
Payton go
predictions.
first.
I'll take it.
Oh yeah, winner first.
Man, when I came into this season, I had Mizzou with 2 losses, and one was to Alabama, and this was the other one. And then after I saw A&M play Notre Dame, I no longer felt like they were going to lose to Texas A&M, and this is very, very tough. I quite frankly am not sure who I would pick to win this right now. I think it'll be very close. I think Missouri knows. I think Missouri's going to play. I think they're going to leave absolutely everything out on the field because I think they know if they win this game, they should absolutely, barring a disaster down the stretch this season, should be in the playoffs come December. For that reason, I'm going to be positive, which goes against every instinct I have, and I'm going to say Missouri does get a little bit of something going pass-wise. I think they quiet the noise down early. They survive a second quarter or third quarter charge from A&M. I think Missouri will win this football game 31-24. I think they will win by a touchdown. I think they'll do a good job of keeping Reed in the pocket. I think they'll heat him up with blitzes, try and make his internal clock tick a little faster. And he's not a guy that's shown he can be accurate. So I think that could lead to some indecision.
I like it. Kenny, you want to go?
Yeah. I still would like to see a game where, in order to trust this team a little bit more, to choose that to pick them to win this game. I know they're coming off a bye. I know they're coming off probably their sloppiest win of the year against Vanderbilt. But I think this game is going to be close, and I've been going back and forth on this number, who's going to have which number. But I'm going to say 27-24 Texas A&M. Like Payton said, I don't think this loss will. I think this loss will be great for the opportunity to go to the college football playoff, but I also don't think it's going to hurt you too much if down the stretch. So hopefully, if you're a Mizzou fan, this one doesn't hurt you too much. But I'm going to say 27-24.
But
A&M.
for A&M.
A&M.
Okay.
So I'll put 24-27.
What's the tiebreaker for this week?
Oh,
We might not need one in the case that whatever number Jack picks.
Oh yeah, true.
So yeah, we won't need one because I do have my score and it is a different margin than Peyton's. So yeah, this game I think I've already accepted is probably gonna make or break me because I think I'm gonna come away with this almost no matter what the score is and feel either really great or really terrible because I really do think the blueprint is right there for Mizzou. This game, like Payton said, feels really winnable, even, which feels crazy to say on the road against a ranked team, knowing what we've seen from Drinkwitz over the years. Obviously, this is a new team, but this is a Mizzou team that's kept saying how bad it's wanted it. This is a game to show that. I think they do it. I think they convert successfully in the red zone. They don't let Blake Craig have to kick a field goal. I've got Mizzou 28, Texas A&M 24. And I really could see this going either way.
I could too.
There's things about A&M that I think, like, especially at home, if they get clicking, like it could get really ugly for Mizzou. But I think the blueprint's right there. Like, this is a beatable secondary. If the passing offense clicks, like Kenny said, they can score on this secondary. They to me, it's not about even the receivers. It's like Payton said, Brady Cook just sorting out and getting one of them the ball. They have so many guys on this team who can score points. I think I'm going to predict them to do it. I hope they do. And I think Peyton's exactly right. I think we're looking at a really, really exciting next couple weeks if they can pull us out.
Yeah, because then it's UMass, which is essentially another bye week. And I mean, this is probably the toughest game we will have to pick all year. Because there's no other game on the schedule that I look at and feel like it's a coin flip. I look at South Carolina a little bit and maybe even a little bit Oklahoma, and I'm like, okay, I got to think a little about that. But I mean, like, Alabama, Mizzou's going to lose that game. Quite frankly, I don't think there's much of a chance for anyone to go into Bryant-Denny and beat them, especially when I haven't seen Mizzou show how they do it yet. But this is just a monumental game for them. I mean, A&M is a good team, not a great team, but Kyle Field is just such a madhouse and I mean, we've seen it with 11 a.m. Road Drinkwitz. I mean, that Kansas State game is the worst game I have ever seen one of my football teams ever play. Ever. I mean, that was pathetic. But again, that was 2 years ago. They are playing with a way more experienced quarterback, a head coach that now kind of is not having to mix around with calling the plays and everything. It's just a completely different program than it was 2 years ago. And I think they can go in. I think they can win this game. If A&M comes out and wins by 14, that wouldn't shock me either. I mean, that's just how kind of razor thin the margin is here. I think the pendulum could swing really hard one way or the other.
Agreed. Kenny, final thoughts?
I'm going to be there. Payton's going to be there. Going to be there in different capacities, but we'll still be there watching this game. So we'll have a good response on Sunday when we get back together and talk about it.
Yeah, I think Payton hyped it up about as good as anyone could. I'm really excited to see this. This does feel like such a monumental game for Mizzou to really prove that they're building on that Cotton Bowl season. They can do something special, like we're all kind of hoping for. So we'll see how it goes. Yes,
like Mizzou can lose this game and still make the playoff, even if they go out and lose to Bama too. I still think a world exists where they make it, because I mean, I don't like. There's going to be people that look at the schedule and are upset, like with who Mizzou played. I would have to see a 10-2 SEC team be told it's not one of the 12 best in the nation before I believe it. Yeah. Or 11 or 7, whatever it is, with all the buys and everything. I think Mizzou can still make it at the end. But if you beat Texas A&M, you leave basically no doubt, assuming you don't lose another game you shouldn't.
Yeah, I think that take is shared by many, but that's good. That's good to put that out there because it's an important caveat. All right, there you go. There's our picks and preview. Hopefully, Mizzou can get the. I'm very excited to watch this game. This is going to be great. All right, with that, we'll finish off the show with quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. We'll finish out the show. Jerseys of the week to start. Kenny, this is a very noble jersey of the week from you, my friend.
Yes, my jersey of the week goes to our good friend Max Chadwick. Peyton's grandmother commented on our YouTube asking when the meatball guy was going to be back, and that reminded me to check in with our good friend Max, who has a new Twitter account. His last one was hacked, so now he's CFB Max Chadwick. Go give him a follow. He's already gained a lot of followers. I think this is his old boomer bust draft Twitter account. No, it's not, but I don't know how he got all these followers back, but he's going strong. We can give him a jersey. Maybe we'll say like a Penn State Saquon Barkley. He's a Penn State fan. So congrats to Max. Hope
meatball.
I'm disappointed in his bio. He doesn't say hacked at 100K. Everyone should just say that if your account gets hacked. No one knows it's hacked. You don't know how many followers you had.
Please follow the unwritten rule back, Max.
Yeah, wait a minute.
I just followed him. Here's his old one.
Yeah. Oh, rip.
Rest in peace.
So sad.
Jeez.
He's almost back.
He's only got 1K less.
Yeah,
anyways.
All right,
moving on.
Good luck,
Max. Jersey of the week for me is going to be what Missouri's wearing on Saturday to A&M. As Knowlton mentioned earlier, it's 92 degrees there potentially at kickoff. So Missouri's just not going to get themselves overheated. They're going with all white unis, the basic white jersey, the white helmet, and the white pants. Dude, please put the stripe back on the pants. I don't know what the hell they're thinking with this stripeless pants craze. They're the Tigers. Put stripes on your Tiger uniforms, please. But no, I like Mizzou's all-white unis. I remember in 2022, wow, 2 mentions to that garbage team this episode. They wore the all-whites to South Carolina, and it went really well with them. It was the Black Tiger script, but I digress. This is a great helmet too, just the basic white oval tiger, which is a great choice. Yeah, I think it's a solid uni. Everyone seemed to be fine with this one.
Yeah, Nike swooshes don't match. The one of the jerseys black, the one on the pants is gold.
Oh God, fix the pants. I don't know what's up with the stripes.
It's not hard to fix.
Weird.
That South Carolina game was when I thought road drink was fixed. I was like, oh, we're back. But
Me too.
yeah,
They kind of have been since then.
they kind of have been. You're right. You're right. Yeah, I like these. Also, Kenny, we had no place to shout out, so we'll have to do it for next game.
Yeah.
No place where they'll do the reveal because this is just a photo. So
Yeah.
Good luck, Mizzou. Please win in the Road Whites. All right. My jersey of the week. We're sticking in college football. It's Western Kentucky. You should go watch this video that's playing on screen. Well, we're not going to play the whole thing because it's kind of long, but it's fire. You should go watch it. They're doing a Western Kentucky with their big red. They're just putting the eyes on the helmet, and it just looks insane and fun and very Western Kentucky, embracing their goofy mascot. I also picked this because Elijah Young is the jersey model in the video. Shout out the former Mizzou running back who's now with the Hilltoppers.
Elijah Young, I still believe you're a good running back. I don't know why Drinkwitz didn't like you. I still think you're good.
It's very nice of you, Payton. It's a good tribute. Yeah, I love these. I love Western Kentucky's just like general aura. I kind of don't want them to play Mizzou only because I wouldn't want to face those uniforms. They're too much fun. But yeah, shout out Elijah Young. That's my jersey. Next.
I like no capping. He's the main bird.
Main bird, Sean East, main bird of the week. Kenny, what's your main bird?
My Sean East main bird of the week is Chaim Bloom, who is in the front office for the St. Louis Cardinals now. You might remember him. You might remember his time when he was with the Boston Red Sox, but the Cardinals announced at the end of the season, after another season of missing the playoffs, the Chaim Bloom will take over as president of baseball operations in 2026 as John Mozeliak. A lot of people know him as Mo. Will no longer be in the position. I don't see this too often, where they give him a year before they make the change. Chaim Bloom is coming in. It's a new era of Cardinals baseball. They're kind of doing an overhaul of everything that they've been doing the last couple decades, especially on the minor league level. So maybe this is a turning point for everyone's St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I'll miss Money Mo as a fan of the Cubs. He was pretty inept the last few years, so that was really nice. But no, Chaim Bloom, I mean, he was up and down with the Red Sox too. Kind of had some unfair expectations placed on him. But Chaim Bloom, your first order of business is to give Ollie Marmol a lifetime extension. # we love Ollie. Please keep Ollie Marmol.
This is like Coach K. They're giving him a year retirement tour. Is he going to put himself in the Ring of Honor like Arthur Blank at the end of this Money Mo guy? That's what he should do. He should get all this out of
authorization to do that.
He might get put in there because he's been with the organization for maybe 20 plus years.
I was gonna say, was he not like the GM when they first won in 06 and everything?
Yeah, he's been around for a long time.
Okay.
He should get all this out of it. He can in his retirement tour year. Main bird, Mr. Payton.
My main bird of the week is going to be MLB as well. Why? Because they have a couple of teams of the avian variety. My main bird reasoning is going to be that they are changing uniforms for the All-Star games and future seasons. So they're going back to, I believe, the bigger lettering on the back of the jersey for the names, which is awesome. I think everyone will roundly agree that will make them look much better. But the coolest thing to me was that they're going back to letting players in the actual All-Star game. I believe home run derby and everything, you still have to wear the Nike made ones, but in the actual All-Star game for sure, you will now see players wearing their home team jerseys again. I think it's awesome. I don't think the All-Star game jerseys for the most part looked that bad, but there's just something way cooler about seeing your guys in Cubs jerseys just out there playing in the All-Star game. So I think that's a good change. Good on MLB for this.
I love the photo they used for this article, by the way. Great photo. A little old school Brew Crew jersey.
Yeah, imagine if he was good.
Yeah, or if he was healthy. All right.
He had a good season.
Also, this is just a jersey of the week segment. This isn't a main bird. This is just another jersey of the
main
week.
bird is that it affects two avian teams in the Blue Jays and Cardinals.
3.
And Orioles. Orioles, yeah.
Yeah, wow, disrespect. My main bird of the week. I'm going to a former South Carolina Gamecock, Bird Connection, and now current Mizzou center, Josh Gray. We love Josh Gray. We are a Josh Gray podcast. this is just really funny. I just saw this photo of him in Mizzou's media day shootout, and he just has a horse head. And his nickname, I think, is like horse or something.
It
Like,
is.
it's like, yeah. We went through this on the show. I remember this conversation. I can't wait for the year of Josh Gray. I hope he's really good, obviously, and I think he's just gonna bring a fun energy.
Yeah,
Love
the
Josh.
bar for center play under Gates has been in
Jeremiah
hell.
Tillman.
So let's hope he elevates that a little bit. I love this image though. It's like a hard, smoky image, and he's just staring at a horse mask. So a lot of
Unbelievable.
personalities on this team, it feels like. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
Unbelievable aura. All right, Kenny. Oh, wait, I didn't transition the segment first. Best thing you learned.
Amateur hour.
It's Payton. Yeah, the bad host.
Yeah,
Payton,
best
you
thing I learned.
Kenny, don't talk. No talking until it's your turn.
Best thing I learned is going to be the Mizzou UMass game that we're all looking so goddamn forward to. Is going to be at noon. Or noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on ESPN2. If Mizzou wins against A&M, they're going to be like the number 8 team in the nation playing on ESPN2 at a MAC school. Or not even a MAC school.
No.
Just UMass. They're playing at UMass. Do you know how much of a joke this is? It's almost here, and I'm really upset about it.
Yeah, it's a CFB independent.
Yeah, I think they're joining the MAC again soon, but
they are.
Garbage. I hate it. But it's the
this
best
is
thing I learned.
awesome. If you're watching on the YouTube, this is an awesome graphic. All these SEC teams killing each other, and you have to kind of zoom in. Are they playing Mississippi State? No, that's UMass.
Yeah, it does kind of look like, it's South Carolina with a weird white helmet. Oh, no, it's just UMass.
And you look even closer, and it's Missouri at UMass. They're going to Amherst.
I wish I was at this game. Oh, man, I wish I was going to be there.
Horrible crimes. We'll do that we might make that preview 5 minutes. All right, Kenny.
I'll find a
Jesus. Kenny, you also weren't allowed to talk until it was your turn.
My bad. Best thing I learned, this one was gifted to me by Payton Haverman, but EA Sports College Football announced that they're making their way to they announced that Missouri against Texas A&M will be the game of the week. In the game, if you're playing the game, you probably opened your pack already, got your free Mizzou player or Texas A&M, whichever one you prefer. But this is the game of the week. There won't be any ESPN crew, but this is still kind of a fun thing.
No, SEC Network is going to this game.
Okay, well, I meant more game day, but yeah,
you don't get game day, but you can get a Sam Horn rookie card.
You know who I got out of my Mizzou pack, Kenny?
I got Sam Horn.
I got 66 overall Tyler Stevens.
Who did I get? Oh,
I got
man,
Sam
I'm going to kick myself.
Doesn't play.
Oh, come back to me. I'll try to figure out who I got.
I got Mizzou's third best tight end. Anyways, what's the best thing you learned, Jack? Kenny will figure that out.
Yes, the best thing I learned. Mizzou is hosting a couple of championships for sports in 2027. Mizzou will host the Division I Wrestling Championships at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, and also the Midwest Regional of the men's and women's cross country NCAA tournament. It will be in Columbia on a trail out there, so that's kind of fun. We got NCAA regions coming to Mizzou. I know too. 2027 for men's basketball, it's going to be in KC for the Elite 8 and Sweet 16. So the state of Missouri hosting a bunch of fun sites. I know obviously for wrestling and cross country, those types of sports, they host at home and stuff like that. So that's pretty fun. So good for Mizzou. I thought that was important to share.
Aren't they
also
hosting?
Shout out volleyball. I think they beat A&M. Preamble for football.
Throw
that on there.
Isn't Mizzou also hosting indoor cross country next year?
Track, right, Kenny?
Yeah, track and field, was it? Okay.
Yeah. Indoor cross country would be horrible. Oh,
State,
God.
yeah, sorry.
Terrible.
You might be able to tell by looking at me, but I wasn't much of a track or cross country kid. So
I got Nate Noel. That was my card.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's way better.
I think it was a 76.
There you go. All right.
This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Guys, once I read a book about glue.
Did it stick to your head? Stick in your head?
I couldn't put it down.
Oh. Mine's the same shit. I don't know. Whatever. All right. Go enjoy the A&M game. We will all be watching. Payton and Kenny will be there. So, yeah. Enjoy the game in person.
Kenny might be up in a box
Yeah.
A box of emotions.
More about that on Sunday. All right, bye.
Kenny reports per.